Hey, it's John. How about that cool patriotic music? Man. Before we get into this week's episode, I just wanted to ask a favor. As you know, together with Annapolis, we're sponsoring a debate for the City of Annapolis mayoral race on Sunday, October 15th at the Ram's Head. If you've got a ticket, we'll see you there. If not, well, that's kind of a bummer because it is sold out. But do tune into the All Annapolis page on Facebook because we're going to be live streaming it for you. We have some topics already planned out, and Dr. Dan Nataff from Anne Arundel Community College is sharpening his pencil, but we also need to hear from you. We are looking for candidate-specific questions, so if you have a burning question for Mike Pantelides or Gavin Buckley, send it in to us. Shoot us an email at info@themarylandcrabs.com or info@ionannapolis.net, and we might use it. Please indicate to which candidate it's addressed, and also put in your first name and ward or neighborhood, just so we know who we're talking to. Thanks very much. So right now, sit back, relax, and have some fun. This episode, I can guarantee you, will be one wild ride.
Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs Podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenay.
Did you put the damn thing on record this time?
This is the second time I've done that. We just did half of the intro, and it was just flashing red, but the numbers weren't going. That's the second time I've done that.
That's right. You did it when Kara was here.
I did it when Kara was here.
Kara and Lee.
Yeah, that's it. Well, luckily it was they thought it was funny, but yeah. So we got to pretend that we haven't talked about the stuff we just talked about.
Okay. So,
hey, anyway, John. So
hey, it's the Maryland Crabs.
Yeah, it is. So we were just talking about, we'll recap for you guys because we were talking about Steve Shue episode, and we were talking about, let's see how we get hustled in and out whenever we see these folks.
Yep.
We don't get much time with them.
The governor wanted us to stay longer, but his handler
we said that. Yeah, and then he said that he wanted to talk more, and we said okay, and we stayed. It's not funny with the second time we do it, and some would argue that's not funny the first time we do it. So.
Right. Well, but yeah, no, we do need more time with County Executive Shue. I think we had a lot more to talk about. That it's not that we were cut short necessarily. We knew we had about a half hour with him, but
and he very generously let us use Lee Hurt, who does the marketing for Blackwall Hitch, the Blackwall Hitch for our primary episode that we had a couple weeks ago. So thank you to Steve Shue, and thank you especially to Lee Hurt for letting us be there. It was awesome. But he had a lot to say. It was really interesting. It's funny how everyone seems kind of on the same page whenever we talk to the elected officials, when it comes down to heroin, when it comes to economic development. You talk to him, you talk to Wes Adams, you talk to, and I saw Wes Adams up at Steve Shue's fundraiser.
Oh, that's right. You went to the fundraiser.
Yep. I went that, and
that's where he announced that he was going to rerun for election.
Right. And I just went because, by the way, I'm not a political animal outside just talking about it, so I don't go to fundraisers, but a good friend of mine had a ticket and he wanted to go, and it was all the way up in Pasadena, which was hell and gone from here, but
it was free food.
But it was free food, and it was crabs to boot, and the crabs were very good. But I saw Fred Palin was there, and I saw John Pantelides, Mike's dad, and I saw
he's slumming it with the Republicans. He's a Democrat,
Yeah, he was up there, and Wes Adams. I saw Wes Adams, and he was great. I was saying before that he has a new video that he wanted us to share, and we'll put it in the show notes, which was the kind of, I think it's along the lines of Not My Child. It's a really powerful new PSA that they put together. It's really awesome.
Well, I know it was done by a kid, or not by a kid, but it featured a young adult, maybe a child, I don't know, teenager or whatever, but on where I hide my drugs. It was a girl in recovery, and it was, this is what you might look for in your bedroom. We might put, a pipe or something in a dirty sock on the floor and just leave it in the middle of the floor. Mm-hmm. Type thing. It was really a very powerful.
I remember there was some woman on, I don't know if it was the Eastport Forum. I mean, generally it is, and they were talking about when they had the Narcan at the fire departments, and everyone thought this was a good idea. And I always call it the 5-comment rule in the Eastport Forum. Is by the 5th comment
it goes to shit.
It goes to shit. Is that you could be talking about rainbows and puppies, and by the 5th comment, it's just going to go to hell where everyone starts arguing. So sure enough, everyone said it's great. This is, it's saving lives, 7 to 8 lives per week. And then this woman came on and started typing saying, you know what, it's something to the extent of they're junkies and they're making their life choices. So I think it's ridiculous that we have to pay for this or that the fire departments would participate in this. And, it all went back and forth. People were kind of saying, you're heartless. And, it just started unraveling as it always does. But at one point she goes, don't be angry with me because I raised good kids who know better than this and would never, ever do this. And then that's when everyone was kind of laughed. laughed. They're just like, if you think that it couldn't happen to you, we hope you're not in for a rude awakening, but it could absolutely happen. And I've seen it happen a bunch of times. People who had great upbringings, great parents, everything was fine on paper.
We've talked about it a number of times. The episode with Jen, who was here. I mean, this is a Miss Maryland type person. Just looks like the ideal daughter, the ideal student in recovery, and was addicted at 13 and got clean by 17, 18.
Yeah. Well, we were talking last night. I think we were saying that the 2 tearjerker podcast that we did, where we were just trying not to blink because you just said that was that and Bumper Moyer's
and Bumper Moyer.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Gavin said that. Gavin said he was listening at home, and his wife's going, "You crying?" He's like, "No, got something in my eye."
Get out. Give me another shrimp.
Another Barbie. So she was great. We'll get to talk to him more, especially when the election rolls around, because what we're doing now with the city of Annapolis, now everyone can get off our backs, because I know everyone has been really ticked off if you don't live in the city of Annapolis. So we've been concentrating so much on the city of Annapolis, and we realize that if you live outside the city, it's kind of inside baseball, and it can be boring, and we realize that. So we're going to make it up to you. So when we do the general elections, then that's what which in the next year we'll be talking to all the candidates.
Sure.
Which leads us to today.
And we did today. But hey, if you are interested in the city of Annapolis elections, we are having a debate on October 15th.
Oh, yeah, business first.
You can go to ramsheadonstage.com and get free tickets.
If there's any left.
So if you're hearing this and you want to go check it out now, not later, because it will sell out.
And if there's none left, we get a bunch of phone calls, so there's literally nothing we can do. We don't get any tickets at all. So.
I mean, fire marshal for the county was the best man at my wedding, and he won't take a bribe. So we can't put any more people in that place.
Yeah, so it sold out, much to our astonishment last time. It sold out in 2 days, and sold out. I mean, that's just expression, because we're not charging, obviously.
Right.
Although we should at some point pick a charity or something like that and have the money go to that.
Yeah, the John and Tim Foundation.
Yeah, I need a pool table. Oh, I need a pool table.
Well, I'll tell you, the person that we're going to be talking to today is a candidate.
Yes.
And
you are in for a treat, my friends.
Yes, you are. She is running for Comptroller for the state of Maryland in 2018 against Peter Franchot, who is a fan of and a guest on the show. We've only had him once, right?
Yeah, only once, and he was a lot of fun. But he's a regular listener, because I guess he's in his car so often.
We've got to go back and get that and get another coin from him. But
yeah, I have my coin on my mantle. I'm not lying.
So let's talk to Phukan Angie.
Phukan Angie.
Whether it's Main Street, your street, or any street in the county that we all live in and love and call Anne Arundel, it's a special place. But part of living here is having a bank that provides what you need when you need it. So when your plans and dreams call for a bank, turn to us, your neighbor. We're Severn Bank, supporting the community that supports us. I'm Alan Hyatt, chairman of Severn Bank, and it's our honor to be the bank that serves the people of Anne Arundel County. One thing that we never forget is that as a member of this community, it's our responsibility to be committed to helping you and our county thrive. Like you, we live here, we work here, and we play here. Severn Bank, we're here with you.
Online at severnbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Severn Bank is a trade name used by Severn Savings Bank.
Of all the ways our customers can describe us, nothing means more than being their favorite.
Zachary's is the gold standard in customer service.
This is the absolute best jewelry buying experience of my life.
The annual holiday party for their customers is beyond a memorable experience.
They have the most exquisite jewelry, and the store atmosphere, it's the best around.
They listen, and there's never any pressure to buy.
We've purchased fine jewelry from different big names in the Baltimore area, but we were treated like family at Zachary's.
You'll not find a nicer group of people. They have my business for life.
Best in Annapolis is simply not enough.
Zachary's has been a part of many of my life's best memories.
After it's all said and done, there's one jewelry store that's my absolute favorite.
Zachary's. Online at zacharysjewelers.com. More than a jewelry store, a jeweler.
And we're here today with Anjali Phukan. And that name is probably not incredibly familiar to you folks, but it probably will be very soon, probably next year, I would think so. Would you think that's right, Angie?
I hope so.
Now, we have you on the phone because you are calling in from the Eastern Shore. So you're over in Ocean City way, right?
Yes.
That's like a foreign land, isn't it? It's like way far away.
A little bit.
No, I know. I'm just joking.
Sometimes I call the other part mainland, where you are.
And all the tourists are gone, so you have your town back?
It's coming back together.
So usually, we were saying this earlier, is that when you ever get candidates for the statewide elections, they generally come from Central Maryland. They come from Montgomery County, PG County, and Baltimore, and even to a lesser extent from, well, I guess we got O'Malley now, although he's a Bethesda boy.
Right.
But you're a Montgomery County person originally, right?
Yes.
And you are running, and we didn't get into this, but you are running for comptroller. And,
I am.
And you are the very first person to declare your candidacy for the comptroller's office for the 2018 race.
Yes, I filed on 420.
Was that on purpose?
Yes.
We met with Peter Franchot a few months ago, and he gave us a medal. And I'm just saying that you're not here to give us anything.
Did he give you a little coin?
Yes, he did.
So I actually have dollar bills, and they say United States of Anjali on them,
right.
And I think that they are very entertaining.
We always say that we are nonpartisan and that we try and be fair, but when it comes down to gifts, we're not. So we're going to need a couple of those, frankly.
Dollar bills.
Next time I'm in Annapolis, I will come give you some.
That's not an empty promise, right? Because we really have like a shelf full of these things now.
We will hunt you down.
Yeah. Maybe I can get my mom to mail you one.
No, you don't have to do that. Yeah, go ahead and do that.
But what caused you to jump into this comptroller's race? I know a little bit about you. You ran for school board last year in Montgomery County before you relocated down to Ocean City or Wicomico County.
I didn't know what county that was.
What's that?
It's actually Worcester County.
See? You didn't know what county it was either,
Ocean City is in Wicomico, isn't it?
No, Wicomico is next door.
Salisbury's Wicomico, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Don't even know your own state,
So
John.
Worcester. You sort of came out of nowhere. I mean, you haven't held political office. You ran for school board last year.
Yes. And I ran as a write-in for this position 2 years before that.
Okay.
For school board?
No, for the
No, for this
comptroller.
race.
Okay.
Yes. I met Bill Campbell. I love that man. And, he was my entry into coming over to the Republican side. And before that, I was kind of involved in Occupy a little bit. And before people who were crazy against Occupy, it started out as something a little different than what it evolved to. But anyways, a big part of that was like the inverted power pyramid thing. And
I have no idea what that is.
So there's this idea that some people try to make it really simple with numbers and say 1% of the population controls 99% with their money. Mm-hmm. Like 1% control the wealth of the 99%. You and I are the 99%, and then there's just 1%.
Well, you're making assumptions there, Angie. I'm very wealthy man.
And there is some truth. There is some truth to that, but then there's a lot of other things people were kind of ignoring about this, which is partly why I took a step back. And part of that is like people feed into it. Like the 1% at the top are really surfing off of like some of the people below them that are really surfing off of others below them. And like people are constantly trying to become that 1%. And like I could even see it in Occupy where like, quote, grassroots people that care about everybody or whatever, they started to like try to build their own little dictatorships inside Occupy camps. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
It gets very territorial. I understand that. Like any movement, every movement goes through that at some point, no matter how pure it is, it starts to fragment at one point or another.
Exactly, and it was fascinating to see that in Occupy because it's like there's practically nothing, and you can see like the tribes starting, and it really it's like you can see like the little Donald Trumps that have the Democrat hat on or the Hillary Clintons or whatever, like all these people that want to have power at these like little tiny levels.
I thought you would Occupy which was at the same time as the Tea Party, and the criticism of Occupy.
And a lot of Tea Party people were actually involved in Occupy.
There was a Venn diagram that really there was some overlap that you would think that they're diametrically opposed, but they really weren't. I mean,
they weren't, not at all.
That's why they talk about that with Bernie supporters and Trump supporters. If you do that loop large enough, they're going to meet at some point, and it's kind of weird.
Absolutely, and I think that there was this whole stigma of like liberal being behind Occupy, kind of to like remove good reputation from Bernie Sanders, because like attributing Bernie Sanders with that, and so it made it more Democrat-y than it really was. Like it was a people that were fed up with people at the top, and Bernie might be one of those types, but so was Trump. Even though Trump has money, like he still has been fed up with politics, and I've heard him say that he's given money to a lot of candidates over time, and I think at some point he was like, you know what, I'm just going to start being the candidate.
Well, I think the problem too. So that was kind of, if you look at the family tree of political movements, Occupy became, probably fragmented. You had some of the anarchists come out of that. Probably some of the Antifa kind of came out of that, and then I think there's some still remnants of Occupy out there somewhere. But the criticism that they had was that they had no central message or central command, which they took pride in that. They said, no, we don't. But then there was also a problem with messaging when you had that, whereas the Tea Party did have a very specific message and very different specific strategies.
Yeah, because then like a lot of people started to bring their own messages to that Occupy thing, because it's like, here's this empty void. So all these little groups started coming in, and like I said, like the people wearing little hats for other people and trying to control people in Occupy. And
so then what happened with you? So you pretty much exit that organization for whatever reason you do. And are you a genuine Republican? I mean, I don't care either way. It's just, to me, having a Republican from Montgomery County is kind of tricky.
I'm a realist at this point. I've decided that's what I am in my life. And so I'm now a realist Republican, but I don't necessarily agree with everything that I hear and see from the Republican Party. But I feel like if I'm going to commit to, and I have decided to commit to the Republican Party, that, for things that I don't necessarily agree with, I can possibly be somebody to like say, here is why we might want to change things a little bit.
Well, how does that apply to Maryland, you think?
So I'm actually really conservative. Like, I am a conservative Republican, but I'm also conservative in general. So I feel like me jumping into how the Republican Party could really change isn't something I would want to do now, because I don't feel I'm very rooted in the real truths of what happens when things go wrong.
Well, let's get a temperature here first. So because the Republican Party it's going through an evolution right now, probably the way the Democratic Party should. But so would you say Trump Republican, Reagan Republican, centrist, Tea Party? I mean, I hate to slap labels on there, but there's so many different depths when you go into the Republican pool that it's hard to tell. Whatever you identify with is going to match up with where you are in like how conservative you are, or socially conservative. I mean, if John Kasich is center. He's what I always thought the Republicans were in the 70s and 80s. Whereas he's kind of probably along the lines of a Reagan Republican, and Trump feeds into that further along the right, which is your Tea Party and what have you. So where do you identify with all that?
I think I'm in general conservative, and by meaning like if I see something that I don't like, I'm not gonna go pounding my fists at it. I really want to look at what's going on in that situation and take a real good assessment before I start to try to suggest ways that things change. I believe in having conservativeness in my movements in general.
That's a leap from Occupy.
Well, no, not really, because so one, I wasn't there on day one. I came on day 6. So I was camping in Freedom Plaza on day 6. So I wasn't one of those we're making change right now. I just I kind of came into it. And then I actually did help organize the ones in Delaware. And for that, it actually was a slow progress. There were meetings in union halls to develop where are we going to do this and so forth. And then the first day of occupying was actually in Dover, and a police officer said we can't stay here. We made little tents. We called them pie tents, because there's a pie law in Delaware about you can have these tents that are pie tents, like you're selling pie or something, and they can be 24 hours.
That's a very specific law.
The cop laughed. He loved it. But then he was like, you guys got to go. And we left. I didn't make a big fuss with the cop. I'm conservative about, if a cop's going to tell me something, I'm going to, maybe try to listen. And so we left. And eventually we did get a permit. So we actually got a legal permit to occupy in Dover. And I feel like that, is a conservative progression into, making a statement.
All right. So how does that fit into Maryland? So you want to run for comptroller, which, if you think that you're going to make change, you would say that you could run for a delegate or a state senate or, governor, but you chose comptroller.
Yes.
Why is that?
Money is the root of all evil.
Which means I'm not evil at all.
But does the comptroller is not really, well, I guess he kind of is in charge of it. I mean,
he's in charge of revenue.
The legislature sets it.
Yeah. There's actually the comptroller. It's a very funny position. It is not just the money. It is also the elections. I don't know if you guys realize this, but the comptroller actually sits in on every single vote that happens. And it's kind of funny that a Democrat has been the comptroller for over 100 years, and this has been a Democrat state for over 100 years, when that comptroller is sitting in on every single voting decision that happens.
Well, Louis Goldstein had that for like 87 of those 100. So, I mean, it's just one guy running it. But I did not realize the comptroller does not have a vote, obviously, in the legislature, but he sits in on that as a, what is that like?
He sits on the board of canvassers. So that's not the vote for like the House and the delegate. This is the voting to decide who is in the House. This is the vote for deciding who is the governor. The comptroller is more than just the money person. Right.
I know he sits on the Board of Public Works and everything else, and the Board of Canvassers. I mean, that's just a board that essentially certifies elections, correct?
Exactly.
But isn't that just a technicality?
It'll be interesting when I get in there and I get to see what's really going on and get to bring more transparency to the people about what really is happening in the Board of Elections office.
Do you think there's it sounds like you obviously on saying it very nicely that you think there's room for improvement, but I mean, do you think there are serious problems or corruption or downfalls in the Board of Elections?
I'm conservative enough to say that I would want to have more details to present to you when making any larger statement than that.
So you're running, it seems like, for social reasons rather than and justice reasons rather than for specific to the economy of Maryland.
No, I absolutely have economy reasons to run as well. So my platform actually does deal with a lot of economy, but at the same time, I'm also a realist about what is really happening in the larger schemes of the comptroller position and the state as a whole.
Well, you just mentioned your platform, and I did read.
Yeah, so I do have an official platform now. I released it on Labor Day, and it has 4 key areas, and they kind of align to like a deck of cards in the 4 areas. So there's the human resources part of my platform. There's the cleaning the state up part of my platform, like a diamond. It's supposed to be like strong and clear, and so, part of that's the transparency and spending and even the elections office and other areas that the comptroller is supposed to be looking at fraud in general. And then the finding the hidden money, making it easier for people to make payments and reporting and so on. And then the last one, and it's kind of like the trump card, is basically knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them and when to walk away. I feel like a lot of people in politics, it's not just the comptroller, but in smaller offices and sometimes governors, they like make these positions for themselves and they make activities for themselves and noise because they're trying to look better for the next election that they're applying for some other job. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Stepping stone.
Like Obama when he was like, trying to make his way into being the president.
Right, when he was senator and...
Yeah, so for me, doing the job of the comptroller, not really trying to become anything more. Like, I don't want to be the president. I don't want to be the governor. I don't want to be a county council person. Like, I'm a numbers person, and that's all I really want to be.
Well, I was looking at your platform, and I've got a couple questions. I know skip down, I guess it's to your 3rd focal area.
Okay.
I guess earlier on in your platform, you had said, we're stating about how the state is not very sound fiscally. By all sorts of studies, they're 45 out of 50 for balanced budgets and everything else there, which to a degree that's controlled by the legislature, not the comptroller. Certainly the comptroller has to enforce it and make it work, figure out a way to make it work. So that would lead me to believe that you're saying that we need more aggressive enforcement and more aggressive collection of taxes and fees and whatnot to balance the budget or make it easier. But yet in the 3rd facet of your platform, I see that you're targeting criminal activity and saying, hey, we send them a bill. And I get that. And there is an illegal drug tax type of a thing there. But then you go on about saying that you're looking to establish a 365 24/7 amnesty program.
Yes.
For self-reported unclaimed income, over-reported expenses, and other inaccuracies for individuals and businesses. And I guess my question there is, does that not sort of defeat the purpose of trying to be a little bit of a fiscal watchdog and to be a little bit of a hard ass in collecting the money? If I can turn around and say, Angie, I owe you $10 this year for my taxes. And then all of a sudden you catch me and I go, oh, you know what? I made a mistake. I really owed you $10,000 and I've got amnesty.
No, so amnesty works when you're self-reporting. If you get caught, that's not amnesty anymore. You should have done the amnesty.
Okay, so then take it another way. It could be an interest-free loan. Okay, I don't have the money to pay the $10,000 I owe you.
Right.
So I falsify my tax return and I say I owe you $10 and I send my $10 check into the comptroller's office. Yeah. And my rich Nigerian uncle finally comes through and sends me my check for $10 million. And I say, oh, well, gosh, I owe Angie $9,990. And I write that check and say, hey, I'm amnesty. So that's an interest-free loan that you've given me, in effect, wouldn't it be?
Some people who are smart enough and that against paying their taxes enough, it could be rarely meaning every so often. Like there's protocols in place for amnesty programs. So the federal amnesty program for interest and penalties, I think it's every 3 years you get one. You can request interest penalty waiver every 3 years for something small, and then they have the. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Are you a good artist? You're drawing a blank.
Actually, I do make art, but I make art with litter. That's a totally different topic.
What? I saw that on your campaign's Facebook page. You had a piece of red ribbon or something on a beach that you made into a heart.
Off of the ocean. Somebody wanted to give me some future art, and they left it in the beach.
I didn't know what it was. Whether it looked like red ribbon or maybe a red trash bag or something.
You know what? It was from a kid's toys that they put in the netting and they sell them on the boardwalk.
Okay, yeah. And
some kid or parent took out the toys and left the knitting, or they could have put the knitting in the trash and the wind blew it out. I mean, I don't want to assign blame to what happened, but there was litter and I was like, oh, it's red. I'm going to make a heart out of it. This is easy.
I just throw stuff out. And when I get the cops come up and say, hey, what do you do? I'm like, that's art.
It's art. I'm a performance artist.
All trash on the planet is really misplaced resources in an environmentalist, a true environmentalist theory.
That's true. I'll tell you.
Okay. Oh yeah. So back to the federal. So there's a program that they have, and you have to jump through hoops to go through it, and it's you end up having a payment plan, and you can only do it I think every 10 years or something like that, and you have to have all of your paperwork together. It's a difficult thing to do, and you have to have a real tax preparer help you with it, And then I've worked as a tax practice before, and I've had to help prepare these, and sometimes people get it, sometimes they don't. But then when it comes to the Maryland amnesty program, it's 1/4 maybe of the quality of the federal program. And so honestly, making this amnesty program it's not like everybody can get an interest-free loan every year, but at least making something on par with what the federal is.
Okay. Hey, quick question. I mean, you work for the lottery, right? Is that what you're? And does that fall under the comptroller's office?
No, but I did work for retirement for a minute, and the comptroller Peter Franchot did have to see my resume in deciding, or that's what I've been told. Whether he was actually looking and saw my name, I'm not sure. But so whether he was doing his job or not doing his job that day, part of his job was selecting people for retirement, and so I am a federal employee, or a state employee. Sorry. Partly because of the comptroller's office.
Gotcha. But back on your third part of your platform, when you also mentioned that the state doesn't take PayPal, which I thought was kind of strange because they take credit cards, obviously.
Right.
PayPal, is that specifically because of perhaps not specifically for, but just undocumented residents that may not have a bank account to send a check or a credit card?
You mean for why I think we should take PayPal?
Yeah.
No, I just think that just a matter of business. The government isn't a business, but we should still have areas that are run like a business. And part of that is how do we accept payment? And I think that we should just a very customer service focused business in terms of how we accept payment.
Well, you and I are on the same board there. I think.
We don't accept international payments either. And even if there's a wire fee, if somebody from China or Russia has a lot of land here and they want to pay their taxes and they want to use a Russian bank account, they're okay with a $50 fee. We
spoke with Franchot, and I think I remember him mentioning that, saying that it was just that by bringing in a foreign thing, that it was too hard to go after if it was a problem. versus if it was an American. I think that's what it was. Like I have to go back and re-listen.
Come on now. There's a lot of businesses that do this, and there's other states that do it too.
Right. And then you also said e-currencies, which I'm assuming is like Bitcoin and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, PayPal might be the safer way to say e-currency because Bitcoin is a little shaky. Although I personally think we should take Bitcoin. There's a lot of good for Bitcoin. But I think it scares people a little bit right now, and maybe we need to like start with PayPal and then eventually get to Bitcoin.
I'm one of those people. I'm scared. I don't understand that concept. Bitcoin, yeah.
I don't understand it either. I just know that people bought it, and then now it's worth $1 gajillion each.
Yeah. So part of it is that Bitcoin isn't created by a particular government that's doing things that create inflation in hopes of keeping their job. Like when a president produces more money, it's to make people happy, but then it creates inflation, and then the value of the currency changes, not for the better. So Bitcoin doesn't really have that problem. The problem, though, is that Bitcoin is also
untraceable,
not regulated by us. So then we're kind of powerless too. If at some point some dictator came into Bitcoin somehow and then did that, and then you know what I mean? So right. It could in 100 years be just as problematic as the U.S. dollar or some other currency that's like the euro or something, you know?
Okay.
So what you're suggesting is, I mean, it's not radical in business, but for a state organization, it's pretty radical. I mean, even PayPal is radical for the state.
It might be a little bit.
I don't think.
I don't think it's that crazy. I mean,
no, I don't think it's crazy either. I just,
there's so many politicians who accept PayPal on their website. Like, if PayPal can help a guy get become the senator or a delegate, then maybe the PayPal should be used for him to pay taxes.
I noticed that you don't have PayPal on your website.
Oh, boy. He found a flaw.
No, because I've had some difficulties with these people. Because I tried to...
Oh, sure. So let him come here and work for this.
No, wait. No, there's a valid reason, and PayPal was doing their job. I was trying to set it up, but it's my treasurer that actually has to, be that person or whatever. And so there's, a mix-up with the email. And rather than trying to fix it, I was just like, ugh, we're just going to forget about this for a while. And then sometime I'm going to sit with her, and she lives in Germantown, and then we're going to try to email PayPal and explain. I don't know.
Figure it out. Well, your treasurer's what? I'm going to mess that name up. Napika?
Yes.
Napika Bora?
Yes.
And I noticed that your authority line says it's authority of Anjali Phukan.
Well, it's actually Phukan Anjali.
Phukan, Anjali. Okay, so it's last name first. And then it says that...
It's partly a joke on the election naming, when you go into the campaign finance entity database, you have to put the candidate's last name first, then comma, and then their name, and then the rest of the organization name. So if, friends of Anjali Phukan would be Phukan, Anjali, friends of.
Okay.
Which is... It's silly in the database, and I'm kind of a database geek, so I just...
we could have used you in Annapolis.
My campaign finance entity name is database friendly.
Well, okay, and then you end it with "That's right!" !
Yes.
Now, is that a nod to the Republican Party, or is that something else?
Yes. To the Republican Party and to conservatives in general. You don't have to be conservative to be a Republican, but there are more that are Republican.
I love this that you got all sorts of Easter eggs all over.
Yeah, I know. Now you go through
Easter
her.
eggs?
Yeah, it's
little hidden things around. I think that's pretty fun.
Oh, thank you.
It's like Google. You do certain things on Google pages sometimes, and you search for things, and they come up and do things. You did the Wacomico County GOP introduced you last month, or
yes,
you had a speech there. How did that go?
I think it went well.
How do they think it went?
I think they liked it too. A woman there afterwards was like, "You have to come to the Worcester County GOP Women's fashion show next month," and so I now have a ticket to go to this fashion show because people liked how I presented at the Wacomico.
All right, so when it comes down to campaigning, you have a fundraiser coming up, right?
Yes.
Do you have vegan options, though?
Yeah, I'm going to have
I read it, so I just guessed.
I'm going to have vegan marshmallows, vegan chocolate thingies and graham crackers, and then apple cider, hot cocoa, and tea. And we're probably going to have something a little bit healthier, maybe some apples.
Yeah, so chocolate, graham crackers, marshmallows, and apples. Because we're going to have
a bonfire. So with a bonfire, you have to have s'mores.
So, all right, where can people get tickets to come out to this?
Eventbrite. You can do tickets there.
And what's the title of the event? Or they just search your name?
I think it's Ms. Comptroller,
that's right.
Ms. Comptroller, Prayer Raiser.
Right, and the Ms. Comptroller is also your website too, right?
Yes, right. Yeah, but on Weebly, I don't really have money to have like a .com, but it's mscomptroller.weebly.com.
All right, so here's the question. Here's the problem that you have whenever you have a candidate like yourself who's either on the Eastern Shore or in Western Maryland, is that everybody lives here. So this is where all the voters are, and everyone in the Western Maryland and Eastern Shore is sensitive about that, but this is where everyone's packed into on top of each other. So how do you, as a candidate, and when I say an outlier, I mean like a physical outlier, that you're in Ocean City, how do you reach the voters over here in Central Maryland?
Partly my personality.
Yes, it is a strong personality, I will tell you that.
Thank you.
But besides personality, how are you going to reach the voters over here? I mean, are you going to be going to?
I am from that area, so I do have a fair amount of friends over there, and I do pole dance for fun. So I'll probably do like the Miss Expose annual event. And a funny thing, when I ran as a write-in 4 years ago. Huh?
In 2014.
But I do this. I do this just purely for sport. I don't work at a strip club or anything like that.
Wait, back up.
It's just for fun.
So
and a women's only gym. I'm ultra conservative.
Wait, back up like 2 steps here, because you had me at strip club. So Miss Expose.
Yeah, so it's a women's only gym.
Okay,
I think they have a co-ed class now.
Okay,
but it's purely a women's only gym. I'm very conservative, so I go to the women's only classes. But then once a year we do like for the general public, we do like a presentation thing. Everybody keeps their clothes on, but then it can be very interesting to everybody to watch.
Okay,
it's very athletic.
When is this exactly?
Miss Expose. So if you Google the letter XPOSE Fitness. Expose Fitness. They're in Baltimore.
I'm not Googling that on my family's computer. I'm just saying there's just too many things that can come up with that.
You could get your wife to go sometime. They have like a free class, I think, on Saturdays for first timers.
Okay, so you totally threw me. So what were we talking about before?
Comptroller, how does she get in touch with the voters out in the Western?
Oh yes, that's right. In Central Maryland.
So then so during that year that I did the write-in thing. I was also in the Miss Exposed contest that year. Now it's just a presentation. Back then it was a competition. And I got like 3 times as many write-in votes in Baltimore City, where we did our annual thing at that year. And I think that had something to do with it.
Right. So, all right. So back to all seriousness. So when you look at Peter Franchot and you look at what, I mean, I don't want to say it's been a secret, but I mean, he obviously has made overtures. Like he was going to run for governor several times, and then
he did more than overtures. He actually had a campaign finance entity.
Yeah, but I mean, he's never. And when we talked to him last, probably a few months ago, he didn't seem like he was positioning himself for that at all. Much to our surprise, because we thought he would.
Well, I think he's also looking that Hogan is wildly popular at this point. This is certainly not his time to be able to.
People have said he has a bromance.
With Hogan's a nice guy. We interviewed him too. I could see the crush.
Yeah.
Hogan did not give us any coins, did he? He didn't give us anything.
No.
We got to validate our parking.
We got the key to the back of his house, though.
But I mean,
he doesn't know it. But we got it.
You guys are great.
So where do you think that Franchot is vulnerable, or am I going to be giving away any secrets here?
Where do I think he's vulnerable?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't compete in.
I'm sorry. I am conservative. I'm not going into any further detail until I have my primary seat.
So. You just indicated that you have a gun in your pocket, but you're not showing.
I hope I come on your show later. After.
I can guarantee
after
it.
February or after June, depending on.
Yes, I matter of fact, after this, we're going to book you right away. Yeah. We're going to have you out here.
Yeah, no, we'll come get you. I've got a question. When you ran from Montgomery County, and I'll show my ignorance to Montgomery County because Tim doesn't inform me as much about it. But
that's sarcasm on his part.
You got 100,000 votes in a 3-way race for Montgomery County School Board, right?
It was actually 2-way. There were 3 seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you spent $0 to do that.
Yes.
First of all, how large is the voting population? And that $100,000 or $100,000. That 100,000 votes was about 30% of the vote, right?
Yes.
How do they work those elections? I mean, it was just for a specific district.
All right, so there's 2 things. There were 2 amazing things that happened to me during that election. The first one is a group of Asians approached me because there aren't that many Asians in politics, and they were like, we want to support you. We want your signs. And I was like, I don't have any signs. Nobody's really been donating. And so they were like, we want to make some signs. So I gave them a PDF that they could use to like go get some yard signs. And then they made them. And then I was like, could I get one? And they were like, yeah, sure. We had a shipment come in or something. I don't remember how it happened. But at some point I realized that they made a lot of signs. And I actually had to
wait a minute. For you? Or, no, I've caught up.
I'm getting this straight. You didn't make any signs. And then you called up your donor to ask for one.
And then, so I had to like ask Jared, what do I do? And he was like, you have to report that. So I asked them how much they spent. And so I had to make a finance reporting thing for these signs that I never
authorized.
The money never went through my hands whatsoever. So it was an in-kind contribution. So I did get an in-kind contribution of signs. And so that was the first amazing gift.
How many signs did they make? About?
I didn't actually see them, so I just have whatever financial number they gave me. And
what was the number? We can track that down. How much was their in-kind donation worth?
I can't recall right now. It might have been $2,000. It was enough that
that's not crazy.
Yeah.
I want to say like $2,000.
Okay, if you told me it was like $112,000, I was like, oh my. Okay, well.
Yeah, they could have gotten them through Amazon.com for all I know. I don't know. But so that was the first amazing gift. And then the second one was the Republican Party. So the person I was running against was very into the Democrat Party, and I could go into all that, but I won't. And so I guess some of those people were like, you need to come to our Republican picnic. So I came to a Republican picnic. And
you were recruited.
I was recruited, yes.
You're lucky when the Scientologists invite you to the picnic.
And then Dwight Patel, yes. He had me come up to the GOP headquarters in the Montgomery County, and he was like, you need to become Republican. And so I brought signs there, and so I talked to him about it. I wasn't 100% sure. I mean, like I Campbell really got me on the path, and then Dwight was very convincing, and then when Hogan did the banning fracking thing, I was like, all right, I'm definitely going to do this. So, but in terms of that party, like it was,
which by the way is complete reversal on the Republicans. So O'Malley was pro fracking, and Hogan is anti fracking, which is a complete flip of the national.
Anywhere else,
right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're like a Democrat in Republicans' clothing?
A dino.
Me?
No.
I'm an environmentalist, but I'm a rational environmentalist. Like there's, in terms of like say fossil fuels, for instance, there's a lot of people that say biking, will help keep the tornadoes from happening or whatever, and there's other people that say
Alex
diesel
Klein.
cars or whatever. I mean, there's so many different opinions about what is better for the environment, and so I don't want to like jump on any one particular thing and then be wrong later, because like things get changed regularly all the time. And with all the like, I'm slightly a conspiracy theorist. So
you've come to the right place.
So, yeah. You're talking to the right people here.
In terms of like conspiracy theories, like, I mean, there is weather manipulation happening from different governments. It's not just the U.S. China does it. I think Russia probably does it.
Like HAARP?
There's
the HAARP?
Yeah, HAARP, but try telling you, would you have a show on HAARP sometime? Because my mom doesn't know about HAARP. And so between HAARP and weather seeding, even if everybody on the planet drove a bicycle instead of a car and was a vegetarian, we still would have crazy weather anomalies from government seeding for weather or businesses seeding for weather.
Well, you're fascinating, Angie. I'm not going to lie.
I agree.
So are you guys. I love like your whole theme for your show.
Hey,
you're the one, huh?
No, are you going to come? Are you going to move out back this way if you win this office?
Yeah, my plan is to buy a boat and live off the dock there for most of the time.
I think there's a couple boats at the dock already.
I heard it gets cold on the water. What?
No, it's not too bad. No, but that'd be a great commute. Just walk right up. The comptroller's got a really nice office.
Yeah,
have you been in there yet?
Yeah, that is a nice office. I'm not going to lie.
The big waiting room and the big couches. Yeah, nice digs for the comptroller. I'll give you that. We've got to wrap up in a few minutes. But have you ever heard of a place called Chick and Ruth's?
Yes.
In Annapolis, Chick and Ruth's?
Is it the one that's like it's on that main street? You're walking down to the water.
Yes.
Yeah. It's real ugly orange mostly inside, and
then like everybody has a sandwich on the wall.
And that's exactly where I'm going to.
And there's the watchdog, which is like it's some sort of meat thing. I can't remember what it, but I remember it has meat on it.
Well,
the watchdog.
When you are elected comptroller,
yes,
I would say it would be Teddy Levitt, but he just sold the place to Keith Jones.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I saw that in the news.
And we're going to actually
that's big news here in town.
We're going to be talking to Teddy Levitt in a couple days about his history of chicken roost. But they're going to come up to you and they're going to say, Angie, we need to name a sandwich after you. So what's your sandwich? And you can tell them anything. You can put whatever you want in the sandwich, and then they're going to name it the Anjali Phukan. And people will order it. They'll come in and they'll say,
they're going to name it the. They're going to name it the Phukan Anjali.
That would be. I'd love to go in and order that. Okay. So what's going to be in it? But it's got to be something good. It can't be any of this like tofu stuff.
Yeah. So I was thinking like whole wheat toast.
I'm good.
Avocado spread, some sprouts, maybe some carrots, like shredded carrot.
So some vegan, vegetarian sort of thing.
Yeah, but totally not processed. So not like tofu on it. I mean, I love tofu, but I don't know now because I did just have my gallbladder removed like 4 days ago. So
I'm sorry. It's got a sting.
So,
are you vegan? Are you vegan or vegetarian?
It's important to me to ask you right now.
I'm a vegetarian. I try to eat vegan, but sometimes like if I'm out somewhere and somebody has
it's difficult.
A smoothie or like I love quesadillas. I don't know what I'm going to do now with this whole gallbladder out thing, but I'm not against splitting a pizza necessarily with somebody if there's no other option. But there is a place that has a vegan pizza down the street, so that's good.
There's no vegan pizza here, but I will split a pizza with you. I love pizza. I eat it like it's my job.
They'll just have veggies on top. So it's a compromise. Like I'm all about compromise.
Well, so all right.
Offering compromise. That's what it's called. The IRS thing. It's called OIC, offering compromise.
All right, is that going to be your campaign slogan, or is your campaign slogan is I'll split a pizza with you? Everyone loves pizza, Angie. I'm not lying.
You could give up those dollars and just give out pizzas.
Oh man, that'd be good.
We could win this thing. We need to be hired, Angie. You need to hire us
for marketing.
Sure.
Yeah, we're gonna run this campaign for you. What was that guy that said a chicken in every pot and a car in every garage?
It was Hoover, wasn't it?
Yeah. Way back when.
Well, I mean, maybe a chicken in the backyard to give eggs, because then that's vegetarian, the eggs. But just not killing the egg, but, still having... I mean, not killing the chicken, sorry. Eating the eggs, not killing the chicken. So a chicken in the backyard.
Oh. All right, we're definitely having you in, Angie. So
yeah, we do have to come down to the Eastern Shore, and that's on our agenda for the fall. So
because we want to interview the mayor of Ocean City too, as well.
Ray, and
he said he would do that. So we got to get down that way. So Angie, hey, this has been awesome. Thank you for coming on, and
we can find out information on her website,
Miss Comptroller,
which is
misscomptroller.weebly.com, or you can find me on Instagram, Snap. Well, you can't really find me on Snap, but...
That's a challenge. Bet you can.
You can email me on Snap. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter.
All right, and we're going to follow you on all that. So, and what are you on Twitter?
Miss Comptroller.
Miss Comptroller. Oh, so that's across the bar. Okay, so
I'm owning that, yeah.
And that's MS, just for people that are listening.
No IS, just the short, because she's...
No IS, no RS.
Gotcha.
There you go.
All right, Angie, you are a delight. I got to tell you that. So,
thank you so much.
I hope you feel better after the gallbladder surgery, okay?
Thank you.
All right. She's a delight. I'm telling you, she is so much fun. So I got to do the backstory in this, okay? So we get we have a few people that text us on a regular basis, or not text us, but will message us. So we have a couple fans over in Prince George's County. I'm trying to remember his name. I feel horrible right. Satchel. Satchel's a real nice guy, and he'll message us every once in a while from Prince George's County. He's looking to start a podcast, and we always said we'd help him. And he's got some suggestions. And we have some people. Some make some good suggestions on some candidates, on some guests, and others were like, well, no. So I got this message on our Facebook page about 2 weeks ago out of the blue, and it was from Anjali Phukan, who lives outside of Ocean City, Maryland, and she said, I'm running for comptroller, can I come on the show? So I said, yeah, absolutely. So we go back and forth, just saying we'll phone, we have the equipment set up so we can take phone calls. That's not a problem. So, and I got to be honest with you, when you're talking about someone running for comptroller, it's not going to be a sexy subject for a lot. So it's one of those things going, to be fair to everyone who's running, we're going to do the interview, and we try and make it as interesting as possible. But I remember, so I walked in and I looked at John.
The expectation is not there.
So John was texting me, because we text like 13-year-old girls, and he said, where the hell are you? I said, I'm on my way over now. And I said, look, I went to her website, and I went to, it's kind of dry because it's Comptroller.
And Tim's like, we need to make this a crab cake. 20 minutes max.
I did. I said, yeah, I did. I said, I don't know if there's an episode here. And nothing against Angie, because you saw. So we came over, and he said, I think this can be fun, because I looked up a lot of stuff, and I said, I don't know. So we got her on the line, and that was awesome. She was so much fun. We are not blowing smoke up. We are definitely going to have her on, because she was absolutely a blast. Anyone who can flow like that and just riff, and it's just so much fun.
I mean, when she sits there and she says, "No, you got to go into chicken roofs," or
Phukan Angie.
The Phukan Angie.
I cannot pin her down. I mean, so halfway through this, and we're laughing. We're not laughing at her. We're just laughing because it was a roller coaster, and we've never had anyone run for office like this.
From registering as a Republican
from Montgomery
County, and listing themselves and declaring themselves as a candidate for comptroller,
right,
on 420.
On 420, which was on purpose.
Was on purpose.
So, and so at some point, I'm writing notes to John because she was flowing. I didn't want to interrupt it, and I'm just like, is she a sovereign citizen? Which is that movement that says that they, that they don't adhere to the laws of, and nothing against Angie, because she just has all these mix and mash of ideologies that, how do you go from Occupy Wall Street, which is far left as you go, and then all of a sudden, like overnight, you're recruited by the Republicans, and then you're conservative, and so she explained that she was a conservative member of the Occupy movement. So she's all over the place, and I think it makes sense to her, and probably in our middle-aged suburban orderly brains, where do you fit into a box? And I guess people don't have to.
And there's not one. I think it's hysterical when she says, "Oh yeah, well, as soon as I realized that Hogan was on the against the fracking, I was like, I'm all for the environmentalist Hogan."
Now the HARP, and I got to explain this, and I know Angie's probably listening to this, so I'm not making fun of Angie. I'm just saying that when we say we're conspiracy minded, we tend to be conspiracy about the motives of people running for office, and who's endorsing whom, and who's getting support. If you're looking at the levels of conspiracy theory, we're kind of at the 101 level. We're at the very basic conspiracy level, just that we feel that people are acting in ways that are going to be beneficial to them, and they're using other people to do it, which is, that's your starter level as far as conspiracy.
Right.
What Angie was talking about with the weather control is something called HARP, and that is that there's an organization that believes that the government has a system of satellites and not ultrasonic but hypersonic sound waves that they can create tornadoes and hurricanes at will, and that they do this on a regular basis, and that other governments are doing this, and so that's so.
Ooh, HARP and Harvey.
No.
Coincidence?
No, it's not. That's part of the conspiracy. Now, again, Angie, I don't mean that's you, because we are having you in. Trust me. And we're gonna get all these conspiracies out, but. So it's. I think she's running. I'm not a financial guy anyway. So whenever we start talking finances, and Jared Lippman patiently explains this stuff to me, and I nod like I understand, but but I don't.
Out the other ear.
But I think this falls into that category of: is she brilliant with the purpose of the comptroller's office, or is it just something that I'm just not grasping?
Well, I think what's really amusing to me is that she is a mainstream candidate. She's a Republican. So she's going to have. They're going to have to support her. There's not too many people running. It doesn't appear that there's going to be anybody else on the horizon. So it is going to be a Franchot versus Angie.
Yeah. But that's so she's a Montgomery County girl, and she's over on the Eastern Shore
in Worcester.
And how many? We really don't get any state level like your top lists. Governor, lieutenant governor. They're all Central Maryland for the most part. Am I missing any?
Yeah, they're all. You're right. That whole.
I can't think of anyone from Western Maryland.
Down 95, the Beltway.
Yeah, right. I can't think of anyone out of Western Maryland or the Eastern Shore. I'm sure someone will just be aghast right now, going, "Oh my God, how did you forget Tom Buckley, who is Well,
our Speaker of the House was Casper.
Mm-hmm.
He was Western Maryland.
Do you know there's a secessionist movement in Western Maryland?
Where do they want to go?
They want
West Virginia,
their own state.
Their own.
Yeah, they say, and rightfully so, that the red states of the West and the East are ignored by the blue states in the Central, and they're absolutely right. And with District 3 especially gerrymandered, Maryland's I think, the most gerrymandered state in the country, followed closely by Texas. But they want to. There's a secessionist. I follow him on Facebook because it cracks me up. Because I'm like, look, I understand what you're saying, but you don't have an economy, so you better hang out with us.
What are they trying to do? Take like the title of the smallest state from Rhode Island or something?
I don't know. So I think it would be like Washington County, Cumberland, Washington. Not Cumberland. Washington.
Garrett, Allegheny, and Washington.
Yeah, Garrett, Allegheny, and Washington. And so that would be. That wouldn't be. Would that be Hagerstown? It would be at least Cumberland.
Yeah, it's not Frederick, but...
And my favorite town in Maryland, Oakland, which is over in the far reaches of, on the other side of Deep Creek Lake. But, I mean, you go to Deep Creek Lake, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But you go a mile away from the lake, and it's Appalachia, so...
But, yeah, no, Angie... What a firecracker, man.
Yeah, well, find her on Facebook, find her on Instagram, and she said you couldn't find her on Snap, so take that as a challenge. That's Miss Comptroller. I think she's at misscomptroller.weebly.com, and she has a little bit of a misspelling there that we caught, and we're gonna have fixed by the time you guys see this, because we're looking out for Angie now.
That's it.
Nothing against Peter. Peter's awesome. Peter gave us stuff, and we love people who give us stuff.
Well, she's got some dollar bills that are coming to us.
Yeah, they better come. She said her mom's going to send them. I mean, she thought she was being polite, but I think in a week I'm going to text her and just say, so where were we with those dollar bills? On the way, right?
Although, I had to talk to Buckley about giving pizzas out.
I love pizza.
You know?
But don't get me started on the state of pizza in this town.
Yeah.
You know my feelings about that. I really think that we really got to work on that.
I do. Hey, about stuff about happening in the town. If you are into podcasts, which obviously you are because you're listening to this, give me, I do one on my own. It's called the Annapolis Daily News Brief. It's a quick 10-minute.
It's very good. I enjoy it very much.
It's every day, Monday through Friday. It's a quick 10-minute piece, just 3 top. Oh, nice ding on the phone.
No, it wasn't me. It was Siri activated automatically when you were talking. I don't know why. Oh. And it started dictating everything you were saying.
Oh. But yeah.
Stupid Siri.
But yeah, check it out on iTunes or any place where you can get it. It's the Annapolis Daily News Brief. It usually has about 3 or 4 top stories that are specific to the area.
And sports and weather.
Sports, weather. Weather's done by DMV Weather right over on Cape St. Clair.
Be sure to subscribe because I wake up every morning and you usually have it out by, 10 around there?
No.
11?
What are you, like on Scott McMullen team? He says it needs to be under drive time. I said, well, I'm not have it ready by
That's a lot.
Noon. It goes out at noon.
Yeah, well, I listen to it every day.
So that's and there's opinion. I try to put some opinion pieces in there. It's fun. 10 minutes. It's all we need. We'll give you a little bit of the information. It's not as in depth as the Capitol, which I might add does not have a podcast.
Yeah, I think they're working on it.
Yeah, they keep talking about it. We'll see.
We like that. We like when they hang with Chase. He had a lot of fun. We hung out, and Jimmy DeButts. He was a blast.
Yep.
They're a lot of fun. We love having them on.
They are. But
I like your podcast. So that's the Annapolis Daily Brief. Of course, so go on to on iTunes and subscribe to it and leave a rating and a review. And those ratings and reviews for that and the Maryland Crabs and the Annapolis podcast, they're all very important because that's the way that the Apple algorithm works, is that the more ratings and reviews that you have, the more likely it is going to be pushed out to people who would like it. As a suggestion. So that really helps out all the local podcasts when you do that. And John,
that's sort of like when you're surfing porn, and then the Google ads come up giving you more porn that you want to watch.
I didn't know there was porn on the internet. That's crazy.
Really?
What do you do? Just Google porn?
Yeah.
Like Google the word porn.
Just do it. Type it right in there now. You'll be fine. Google porn.
But speaking of having stuff pushed at you, I'm going to push a few things at you, which is following us on Facebook, because we have a group and we have a page. So find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter at MD Crabs Podcast. I'm at Tim Hamilton 47. John's at Annapolis. So you can find us there. Go to Apple Podcasts or Google Play and just subscribe to us. And of course, as I just mentioned, give us the ratings and the reviews if you are so inclined and if we deserve them. But we work very hard, so it'd be great if you did that.
Yeah. Hey, I want to throw one more thing out too. And a couple of weeks ago, I sent out an email through Annapolis, and it was 12 local podcasts, locally produced podcasts.
Which is really good.
And self-serving, it included the Annapolis Daily News Brief and the Maryland Crabs as the top 2 positions. But we talked about Josh Cohen's podcast that he's got
More
going
power
there.
to you.
More power to you.
Which is really good.
We've got Scott McMullen's The Annapolis podcast in there. We've got Liz Murphy's new podcast, Naptown Pintcast.
Right.
How creative is she? We've got... there's a
Red Maryland was in there.
Red Maryland is in there if you're that color,
or even if you're not, you just broaden your horizons.
Yeah, find out what the other guys are doing. We don't have a Blue Maryland. We probably should do that
because every day's Blue Maryland.
But there's 12 of them that are very local. They're produced right here in the area, not necessarily Annapolis or Anne Arundel County, but central too. But if you're interested in seeing what else is out there, just send us an email at info@themarylandcrabs.com, and I'll make sure you get a copy of that with the links to all of those podcasts if you want to check them out.
Yeah, they're really good.
Becoming a podcast fan.
So, and then we're going to have, I guess we're having our podcast. We're working on something right now. John's working on something right now that we're going to make a little more public for people who are interested in podcasting.
And it will be a sort of like a podcasting 101. We're going to talk about how you do it, why you
how we do it.
How we do it.
Yeah, because there's other ways to do it besides we do.
You'll have some walkaways with, shopping lists, if you will, and we're going to create some of those as well, and resources and everything else if you wanted to get into it.
And we think the more the merrier. The more podcasts we have locally, even if you want to compete directly with us, we're all for it.
Yep. And we do have to rent the space at the thing, so there's going to be a small fee
just to cover it.
I'm not exactly sure. I mean, we're talking like $5, so it's nothing huge there.
Yeah. So,
but save the date October 15th for the debate.
Yep.
With Mayor Pantelides and Gavin Buckley.
You can try going to Ram's Head, but by this time, I'm thinking that the tickets may be gone.
Right. So. You snooze, you lose. But so we'll call it a day.
Let's call it a day. Out.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them in all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.